I've been asked a question here. 2024 has been dubbed as the year of elections and potential chaos, with 40% of the world choosing their new governments. What's your prediction? Wow, that's a fascinating question. And it really is a big question. We look around the world and we see America has got an election coming up this year. The UK is the same. It's never been a year where there's so many governments are seeking re-election. So I'm actually going to give you two ways that you can look at this, because you're actually going to have to make your own interpretation. Although if you watch to the end, I'll give you my interpretation, but it's just a personal opinion. So when we look at this particular area, what are governments going to be doing? Well, they all want to be re-elected. So they're going to be trying to, I'll use the word carefully, but manipulate the economy. They're going to try and make sure that it's doing well and the figures look good. They're going to be trying to make sure if there's any extra money in the kitty, and they will have maybe saved up a little bit, have it set aside to really try and make sure there's a feel-good factor going into the election. So expect all the governments around the world that are going into election, and it's 40% of the world and lots of the most biggest economies, then expect them to be trying to do everything they can to create this feel-good factor. So you'd think that stock is going to be going up. But then, of course, there could be chaos. We're saying, well, why could there be chaos? Well, think about America, just as an example. I don't know who it's going to be, but it could be Biden versus Trump. And you've got all sorts of things could be happening if it's close. Or perhaps McDonald has a problem with these cases that he has against him and maybe even ends up in jail. What would happen? Could there be chaos? Well, there could be chaos, particularly if it's a close election, as is likely in America, whoever is competing. If you go to the UK, you could have a Labour government, which some people will say will be good, but others will say, well, taxes are going to be going up, and that's a problem for companies. So think about it as, for me, a year where you've got the first part of it, governments trying their best to make sure the economies are doing well. I would suggest to you that you're going to get perhaps a sell-off after last year's growth, massive growth and good returns in the stock market. Could be volatile in January. I would suspect that it will settle down by February, March, and you're going to see governments working hard to make sure the economies are doing well. And then as we approach the elections, I actually think there's going to be some chaos. But don't forget, when there's chaos, there's opportunities. What does it mean? Well, when the markets are more volatile, then if you're brave, and only if you're brave, then you can pick up bargains. So for me, it's actually a mixed year. You can make your own opinion up because it is a market where there's nobody actually has a crystal ball and knows for sure what's going to happen in the market. Governments certainly will be keen to be re-elected. Chaos, the stock market doesn't like uncertainty. And if we get uncertainty, expect volatility. For me, there's a good part of the year, and then there's a part where I'll be looking for bargains because it's going to be volatile.